Welcome to Unbound, the podcast with Beth Curry, author, storyteller, and survivor. This is where books meet real life, where Beth reads chapters from her work and breaks free from the traditional audiobook format, diving deeper into the personal experiences, lessons, and liberation behind every page. Nothing is off limits. Let's get unbound.
Hey everyone, I'm Beth Curry and welcome to Unbound. If you're here, you probably know me as an author. Maybe you've read one of my books or you've seen me over on Facebook where I love connecting with readers and, well, honestly, just talking about life. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so glad you found this. So let me tell you what this podcast is, why it exists, and what you can expect. Unbound is me reading chapters from my nonfiction books and then going just a little bit deeper. I wanted to break free from the traditional audiobook format, which, don't get me wrong, audiobooks are great, but they're pretty rigid. They're polished, they're contained, and as you can tell, I've already said which would never fly with an audiobook. But some of these stories that I've written, they refuse to stay contained. So what I'm going to do is read chapters exactly as I wrote them. But here's the thing. I might laugh, I might cry, I might throw in some commentary along the way because let's be real, I cannot stay poised through some of this content. And honestly, that's the point. After I read each chapter, we're going to sit together and I'm going to share more, the stories behind the stories, the things I couldn't quite say on the page, the lessons that I may still be learning. This isn't an audiobook though. It's more of a conversation. It's raw, it's real, and yeah, I have a bit of a potty mouth, so fair warning. I might swear a time or two. So I've been asked why I'm doing this, so I'm just going to back up a second and tell you a little bit about my journey, if you don't know me. I started out writing fiction. I loved creating stories and building worlds and giving voices to characters, but somewhere along the way, I just realized something. It just felt easier for me to share my own story than to come up with stories. Fiction kind of required me to imagine and construct, and nonfiction just required me to be just honest, just me, to be vulnerable and to say the things I'd kept private for so long. And that's terrifying, by the way. It's been a crazy journey and a challenge to so openly share things that I've hidden for decades, especially with my upcoming book about my adolescent trauma. And as much as I don't want to censor myself, I still find myself doing that sometimes, but I'm working on it. And this podcast is part of that work. So in 2025, I released All These Beautiful Things, which was my first major nonfiction book, and it earned international recognition. That book marked my successful transition from fiction to nonfiction, and honestly, I'm just getting started. So about me, the official version, I guess, is that I'm an international award-winning author now, whose work focuses on practical self-help, rooted in real experience. I have an extensive background as an independent expert in forensics, criminology, and forensic psychology. I am also a certified health and lifestyle coach, a Reiki master. I was trained in the traditional Shiki-Ryu system, and I'm also an ordained minister. My early career was in the medical and psychiatry fields, and I've had a lifelong passion for law enforcement and cold case investigation. So all of that stuff, my entire background kind of informs my writing, and it gives me a unique lens on human behavior and trauma and healing and transformation and all that fun stuff. My writing philosophy is pretty simple. I like to take personal experience and professional expertise and kind of turn it into actionable guidance for people seeking meaningful change. But the unofficial version, the stuff that matters just as much, I'm told that I'm a lot of fun. I love animals. I have a cat who gets treats funded by my coffee supporters. More on that in a minute. I talk to the sky. I listen to my intuition. I love nature, travel, music, baking. I value quality time with friends and family, usually around impressive charcuterie boards paired with fine wine or good whiskey. And if you've read stuff about me, you already know that. A very special friend once described me as the whole damn fire. someone who radiates a kind of magnetism that only comes from deep self-knowledge, spiritual depth, and a life lived with integrity. I don't know if that's true, but I do know this. I am unapologetically myself. I just recently turned 50, and this is becoming so much easier to do. I don't chase validation. I'm not afraid to show my flaws, to pause, to kind of break patterns. And I hope that that comes through in this podcast. So in my 50 years around the sun, I think that I'm just getting better. I decided that I wanted to do podcast instead of audiobook. So I started recording all these beautiful things. We got about, 13 chapters in, and just something about it just wasn't feeling right with me. So I just decided that I didn't want to do it that way. I have done audiobooks with my fiction work, and 2 of them are available, but I didn't want to do it this way for my nonfiction. I believe that the stories I write should be accessible to everyone, and not everybody has access to audiobooks. Not everybody has the finances for audiobooks, and I didn't want cost to be a barrier between you and these conversations. So this podcast is free, completely free. You can listen on any podcast platform anytime. But that said, if you love what I'm doing here and you want to support the show, I do accept tips and ongoing support through Ko-fi. There will be a link somewhere in the podcast description. You can do a one-time Ko-fi, or you can sign up for monthly support at different levels. We have everything from buy me a coffee to fund my therapy and my cat's treat habit. So whatever floats your boat. If you feel like tipping me after each episode, or if you want to do monthly or just a one-time thing, it's all very appreciated. If you don't want to tip me at all, that's fine too. Please keep listening. No pressure whatsoever, because your listens mean the world to me either way. I don't need your $3 or whatever. So the idea to do this podcast format actually came from a good friend of mine who's been instrumental in my writing journey. His expertise has always been helpful, and he's also the voice of my book trailers. When he suggested this, I immediately knew it was the right move. It lets me share my work freely while still creating something deeper and more connected than a traditional audiobook ever could. So I am starting with the book, All These Beautiful Things. I do have 2 more books coming out. The Weight of Truth comes out December 21st, and we'll talk a bit more about that at some point. And then The Other Side of Quiet, which is about my adolescent trauma. I just finished writing the manuscript when I was in LA recently, and don't have a release date for that yet, but I'm thinking 2026. So we're starting with All These Beautiful Things because it is my first completed nonfiction book and the one that earned that international award that I won. Wow. It feels like the right entry point because it represents this whole transition I've made from hiding my truth in fiction to standing fully in my story and my experiences. So each episode, I'm going to read a chapter or a section from the book, and then we'll go deeper. Actually, it's most likely going to be a full chapter that I'll read. We'll go deeper. I'll share some context, some personal experiences, moments that shaped the words. I'll talk about what I've learned since writing it, what I'm still figuring out, and hopefully people out there will feel less alone together. So what I hope that each episode, what I hope the takeaway would be is I hope that the people listening feel seen. I hope that you realize that your story, whatever it is, matters. I hope that you find practical tools and insights that you can actually use in your life. And most of all, I hope that you feel less alone in whatever you're going through, because that's what this really is all about. We're all just kind of trying to make sense of this beautiful, messy, complicated life, right? And we can do that better together. See, I can't mess up if I'm doing an audiobook. For all the times I've said and kind of stammered and stuttered. I'm real here. So this is it, guys. So that's Unbound. That's me. That's what we're doing here. I'm so excited to share this journey with you, whether you've been following my work for the years I've been doing it, or you just stumbled onto this podcast today. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Let's break free from what's expected. Let's go beyond the page and let's get unbound. And I will see you in the next episode.
Thanks for listening to Unbound with Beth Curry. Join the conversation in the Facebook group or visit author.bethcurry.com. Want to support the show? Head to ko-fi.com/unbound podcast. Until next time, stay unbound.